welcome back to my channel. I want to do some makeup today, and I thought it would be cute if we used products that I think are underrated from Sephora. I picked some things out, I wrote them down. I literally have a list. Okay, I think it's gonna be fun. I'm trying to like put y'all on. I work there as of, you know, May, and I have found jewels and gems, but also just being an avid Sephora goer, I think there are so many things that you need to be knowing about. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, let's get into it. First things first, y'all, let's get into it. I'm gonna prep my lips. I always start off by prepping my lips, and I'm going to start off today using the Ola Henrik's Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment in the shade Cocoa Cream. It is very thick, but it's not that sticky, and you don't really feel it too much on your lips, but it stays on your lips. I can't stand these things that you have to just keep reapplying every 2 seconds. Like, it's too much. I also like the color of it a lot. I think it's very flattering for brown girls. And I hate to say this, but if you smoke, I think this is also like a pretty shade as well to kind of give you like a lip blushing effect. So the next thing that I'm going to do is prep my skin. I like to, especially in the winter time and when I'm trying to do something that's a little more satin to matte, I do like to go in with the moisturizer. I have combo to oily skin, but it does get a little dry around my under eyes and around my mouth, so I just have to account for that. Today I'm going to be using the Biossance Squalane Omega Repair Cream. So because I'm challenging myself to do all Sephora products, this is something that I think I had to think about, right? I love using the Embryo Lace Late Concentrate. That would be my preferred moisturizer for this step, but because that is not sold at Sephora, I have to accommodate and kind of think outside of the box, and I think that this is going to be something that is very similar. It gives like a lot of moisture without having too much hydration, which is really important because it's not going to make things slip and slide too much. I feel like it kind of does soak into the skin. Underrated tip I feel like people don't do, especially my ladies that are a little older. I mean, I'm 27, but I have lost a lot of weight, so in some ways my skin kind of reads more mature. But you gotta put your moisturizer when you're prepping your skin for makeup. Definitely put it all over your face, guys. Your chin and your neck, even your ears, right? That's still a part of your face. All those things people actually notice when they're looking at your makeup up close and in person. I had done something to my eyes before. I took molasses from the Sephora collection, the lip liner, and I kind of like drew out here. I'm gonna do it again. But I don't know, something just came over me a few hours before I started to film, and I was like, I want to try that. I want to see what it's giving. I think it will be really cute. That formula is like very creamy and blendable, so I'm going to show you guys what I did, but let's not rush ourselves. So the next thing that I would do at this point would be to go in with like a mattifying primer. So I'm going to go in and use the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin, and I'm just going to use it like right on my nose and my forehead, around my brows. I don't really like that shiny brow look. I try to get it to matte down as much as possible. Sometimes I just feel like it doesn't work that way. So mixing this in, and again, with this being like a serum type of formula, it kind of just mixes in with that moisturizer. So you know it's not going to mess up your makeup. Normally you could just let this air dry, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna get my fan out and just let this kind of dry down like that. I feel like this specific mattifying primer, it doesn't do too much. I do have the Patrick Star Oil Sucker Primer, and I have used it a few times, and I can say it is very legit. But just because I'm sitting up here and doing makeup with y'all, and I'm literally going to wash this off, I'm not wasting my product. I do love this, and I have a backup that Danessa Myricks actually sent me herself, so yeah, you know me and Danessa, we talk, you know, we get together, we do what we need to do. There's actually some more moisturizer that came off, so I'm just gonna put that right under my eye. And I love doing this before I go in and apply heavy makeup, especially to the under eyes. And when I say heavy, I mean I'm going in with multiple powders, because this area can dry out even if you have the most youthful skin. And now I'm gonna go in with the Secure the Blur Primer. Not gonna lie, guys, last time I used this, something was going on with my makeup where it was kind of peeling. I don't know if it was this product or it was just a combination, but I want to say I used this and the Yummy Skin together, so I don't know. We're gonna see. Had to get some paper towel. When you're doing your makeup, y'all, please have some paper towel. Have some paper towel nearby. It's really that serious. Like, you need to be wiping your brushes off in between like every couple dabs, because that's how you're gonna get a flawless blend. I have my palette. Okay, let's see, do I want to color correct today? Why not? Let's do a little color corrector. All right, so for color corrector, I can't say that this is underrated, but this is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter color corrector, but this is in the shade Mango. I love this. Fumi Monet definitely put me onto this color, and it's been up ever since. I feel like what is underrated is this shade for people that are like my skin tone, like a medium deep type of shade, especially like more of the neutral girls. This is definitely our shade. It's not giving too much, because I know I've had it in the past where it's like you'll put on a color corrector, it's so orange, you're spending more time correcting the color corrector. No, God didn't intend that for you. He doesn't want that for you. So because I have like lines around here, I do like to blow out and make sure I'm getting all in there, and I'm gonna do the same thing when I set too. To set this, I'm gonna go in with the One Size Hello. What is this, the name of this? This is, I don't know, what is this called? Yeah, One Size Ultimate Setting Powder, and this is in the shade Dark Deep. Okay, I think I want to use a brush like this. This is like a old Morphe M335 brush to set those areas. I feel like this will help push it into the skin. I don't really want to use a velour puff and give that much coverage to it, do you know? One day I hope to either work with One Size or get on their PR list so that I can have like the full size of all of the powders, because I feel like I can really get use out of every single shade that they have. All right, trying to clean as I go. Now that we've gone ahead and done our color correction, I like to go in and do my brows, but only part one. I have a technique, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that does this, but it's my technique that I like to outline my brows first with concealer, and then I will kind of flick them up with the brow gel just to kind of get them in place, make them stand up. And then towards the very end of my makeup routine, pretty much almost the last step before setting with a, you know, finishing spray, I will then go in and fill them in with a nice creamy fine tip pencil. So I'll show you guys, you'll see this, either it'll be masked over with this, but it is a little bit different, but I swear by this. To me, this has single-handedly updated and upgraded my makeup look. Before, when I used to do my makeup and I would do it where I would completely do my brows first and outline them afterwards and do the top, it would just look so harsh, and I'm kind of like really over a cartoon brow. I feel like that has been out for a few years now, so definitely love to try new things with my brows to just make myself look more like me. So I'm gonna take this brush. This is a brush from the brand, oh my gosh, I'm gonna put it on the screen. I'm really blanking right now, but I do have an affiliate code with them, and I love their brushes. Black Woman Owned Business. It's super great though. Like, it just has this tip. It's very wide and it's so thin. Like, it is perfect for carving out your brows or doing, you know, carving out your lid. Now, sometimes I will do different concealers than the ones that I'm going to use in my face, but just because I'm trying to not make too much clutter, I'm going to use the two that I'm using on my face today. And those are going to be the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. Y'all, when I talk about underrated makeup products, I cannot talk about this product enough. Like, this is what I feel like people want the Hourglass concealer to be. She's really not that girl, but Natasha Denona, she is. The only difference is you can only get Natasha Denona online, so you have to kind of be pretty savvy with knowing your undertones so that you can guesstimate which shades to get. I got two. I got pretty lucky. I pretty much like the shades that I use them almost year round, interchangeably, and both at the same time. So yeah, but today I'm going to use a little bit of that Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer in the shade Neutral Peach. And I'm also going to use a little bit of the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Amande. I'm just going to mix these together on the back of this palette. The Neutral Peach is pretty bright, but the Amande brings it down, making it like a good mid-tone shade for me. I guess I'll use the Anastasia one, but I'm trying to do underrated. Okay, I'll do this one. I feel like this is okay. This is the Urban Decay Big Bush Brow, and I have it in the shade Dark Drapes. It does have pigment to it, and I feel like it kind of builds fibers throughout your brow. So if you're ever looking for something that you can just kind of throw in your brow hairs and go on about your day, this could definitely be it. And I'm also going to take this opportunity very quickly to just shave these brow hairs off with one of my mini razors. Okay, perfect. So like I said, I already put the product through, outlined my brow, and my eyebrows are microbladed, so I want you to take what I'm doing with a grain of salt. But if you can take pictures of when you've gotten your makeup done or when you've done your makeup and you like your brows, study that, have that picture up when you're doing this, because I understand sometimes it's hard for people to just do the outline of the shape without having it filled in. But this is why it's important to keep up with your eyebrow maintenance. Now, I didn't say I was going to be using Sephora brushes, okay? I will throw a couple in there just because there are some that I like to use like in my daily makeup routine. But yeah, when it comes to brushes, look, every man for himself, okay? I am going to take this Real Techniques 242 brush and just start to tap this out. So as you can see, it's kind of going up in here. This is where my microblading has kind of like failed me, but I know this is where I want my brows to start. And because I have this like lighter line right here, I can just go from the bottom and add the lines, and it's still going to give that effect. But just, you don't have to take my word for it. Just, we're going to see. You're going to see. But this is what I was talking about that I did. I took the Sephora Contour Lip Liner. Okay, this is in the shade Molasses. You know her, you love her. But what I did, I went in like this, but I actually want to go more from here. I took it and I redrew my eyebrow line. Do you see how that is gonna like elongate my eye and make it a little more straight? My eyes are straight, but because I have such deep set eyes, I need to do something that's going to kind of help bring them out. Kind of going, like I said, a little bit right under that line that we did with the concealer and following the brow line that we just did. Eye is kind of greasy, so naturally oily. I mean, I say greasy, naturally oily, so that kind of works in my favor. But also the fact that we just put down that nice creamy concealer and we have this nice creamy lip liner. Now, I'm not gonna put this like under here because I don't know if this is eye safe, but I just think that this is gonna like drag out our eyes so nicely. And you definitely want to make sure you're using a smaller brush when it comes to this. And I'm really fighting the urge to come down here. I'm gonna just have it kind of close there, and then I'll like kind of fan it upwards. It's almost the first step to building the definition in the brow, which is why we cannot do our brows first anymore, guys. Like, if you want this snatched, pulled out look, how can your brows be done? You'll be messing them all up. We love that. Now I feel good. Let's go ahead and go into complexion. All right, for complexion, I have been loving mixing my foundations, and today I'm gonna be mixing the Patrick Ta foundation along with the Urban Decay Face Bond. Now, I don't really think that this is underrated, even though I feel like it is a good foundation. I feel like it definitely had its little moment, but I don't really see people buying it too much anymore. And I think, especially for us Black girls, you know we love a matte moment. I think when you buy this Urban Decay Face Bond, this foundation is so versatile. And I tell you guys, me and the shade above this, 28, we went together so bad in the summertime. Like, from April until I was stuck like glued to this. You don't need a lot. It literally feels invisible on your skin. And when I tell you this is matte, it's flawless, but it still looks like skin. It's crazy. They have a ton of shades. They actually sent me this one along with another shade to try out. I own shade 28. This is shade 27 medium olive, and you can actually see that I've been using this. I love clear packaging, so you can get into how much you've been consuming, how much you like the product, and when you need to replace it, if you need to replace it. So I'm going to mix these two together. In the Patrick Ta foundation, I'm in the shade 20 Golden. Guys, I'm gonna do like 2 pumps of that one. If I was doing an underpainting technique, I would do like 1 pump and then like a squeeze of this. But because I'm doing foundation first, I'm gonna go in with a good amount. I'd rather have more than less left over. All right, so how I like to apply my foundation is in a few different steps. So I like to put it on with a flat foundation brush such as this. I know you guys have seen these in kits and you're just like, what the hell am I gonna do with this? This is what you do with it, guys. And now we're just going to swipe on our face. Now, if you have hair on your face, mine is kind of starting to grow back because I did dermaplane my face, but if you have a lot of hair on your face, you're gonna want to swipe and try to figure out which direction the hair in your face is going and apply the same direction as the hair growth. This is really important, ladies. Like, people like to act like we don't have hair on our faces, but we're mammals. It's normal to have hair everywhere. So the thing you can do is just figure out how to work with it. I like this method because it allows me to get all in those little cracks and crevices. Like, we did all of that beautiful color correcting and we don't want it to still show through. We want to put the things on top and have it be neutralized. Applying it like this first definitely lets us do that. And please, for the love of God, take your foundation on your chin, guys, please. Okay. No, we're gonna set it. We're gonna do the one size. So we're gonna try to get it to not transfer. Don't do this obviously if you're wearing like a turtleneck. What I love about the Urban Decay Face Bond is it is so full coverage. The Patrick Ta is not. I'm actually getting the majority of the coverage from the Face Bond, but the Patrick Ta keeps everything like very, you know, like skin-like as far as the texture and like the hydration levels of the skin, at least for me. So at the point that your face looks like this, kind of like streaky, you know, a little like what's going on, we're going to take a fluffy brush and pounce this into the skin. So for that today, I'm going to use the Real Techniques 202 brush. I stand by this. I love this. I will have it linked. This is my favorite foundation brush like ever, and it's definitely my favorite foundation brush for the last like 2 years. Look how like I'm literally just like and everything is so even. It's so flawless. You don't have to worry about this big hunk of concealer, or not concealer, excuse me, foundation in the middle of your brush. You can ruin your brush like that, getting all that product down in those bristles. Like, no. Spread your product out and then blend it in. I promise you, the extra time that it takes, your makeup, your face, your brushes, they will thank you. Also notice, like, I don't really put too much makeup on my nose, but also I don't really have that many blemishes on it. So if you have more blemishes, definitely feel like you can even that tone out and even go in and spot correct with a similar tone concealer. When it comes to down here, I do swirl and do this because I do want to break the product up and just move it around and sheer it out because I don't want a bunch of coverage on my neck. It's really just to make sure everything is looking decent. And love how this is looking. You could just stop here. Just kidding. I hate when people say that. Like, please, actually, don't stop here. Actually, I would rather you not put on an ounce of makeup if you just want to stop here. This looks absolutely insane, and I need for us as a collective to recognize what's wrong with this picture. When you just put on foundation, like, you look mad flat. Now, thankfully, I have some definition in the eyes. If I put on some lip liner or something, like, I feel like it could be cute, but putting on foundation and leaving the house is probably like one of the worst things that you can do. I'm gonna leave it there. As Black women, we need to bring the tone and tonality back to our face via bronzer, contour, blush, and highlight in specific areas. You don't have to do a lot, but you need to understand the science of it if you're going to want to wear makeup to emphasize your features and not just detract from them. As a Black woman, I can't speak for anybody else. As a Black woman, this is how I feel. I was thinking kind of hard about what product I wanted to show for this because I'm like, I really don't have that many cream contours or bronzers from Sephora. I have some concealers that I think I probably could have used and got away with it, but they would be like discontinued, and I'm like, no, the girls deserve better than this. So I'm going to show you a product that is a little bit on the expensive side, but I think if you are somebody that is trying to get into different formulas as far as making your skin and your makeup and your base look as flawless as you can, you cannot not have creams in your kit. And this Makeup Forever palette, HD Skin Face Essentials palette, is definitely the way to go. So it has two shades, or two sides rather. This is like the color side that has your blushes and your highlighters. It's like a sparkly toppers, and then over here you have your complexion side. So today we're going to be using these two shades to build some definition within our face. I'm pouncing it in a lot because I feel like this is a very forgiving formula, but definitely be a little more light-handed as you're getting used to this product. I'm gonna switch over to this side of this brush. I think all of the Mario brushes are criminally underrated. I know the girls that know, but I just wish everybody knew. So with this shade, or excuse me, with this side, I'm gonna do a little trick. All of these things are helping to, again, like elongate my eyes, make them look a little bit bigger, a little bit more sultry. And for me, instead of going up, which is gonna cut my face and make it more like angular, I want the angles to be a little more soft, a little more pulled back. What I just did there, let me zoom you guys in. Look, so I just tilt it down just so I can expose this area, because essentially what I'm trying to do is put the color like right here, emphasize that. Like I said, the formulas for these are so pretty and blendable. I feel like you can't overdo it with this. That soft, subtle smokiness is gonna do the same thing that what we did for outlining our brows is gonna do. It's gonna give us a guideline for when we start to go in with our concealer, and I'll show you what I mean. I think this is something kind of like newer that I'm doing. Luckily, this is like a 2025 kind of like makeup thing that I'll be doing moving forward, but I just love what this does. It almost gives like a little raccoon vibe, but the darkness around here just really defines my eyes. It makes my brown pop, and it really balances my face shape. I'm gonna take that same bronzer and just pop it right on my, kind of like on the bottom part of my cheekbone. I don't want it to go too low, and I am gonna kind of round it up here. Like I overdid it a little bit, and see how easy it was. I don't care if it gets a little dark right here. We're gonna put concealer on, and it's gonna clean all of that up. But if you're using a shade that's darker, you definitely want to have more controlled movements, because it can get kind of scary really quick here, and we want to make sure that this is nice and clean for when we go in with our blush. Now, because I've been having a couple extra sweets and cookies, okay, you know, we coming off the holiday season, and I haven't really quite got back in the gym how I want to. I'm going to switch to the contour shade. That's like this deepest shade, and I'm gonna do this and just draw that line. And then I'm just going in with this brush and going right on top of it. I didn't put any new product on this, but it probably does still have some of that warmth, you know, from the other one, and that's what we want. I'm gonna go and draw right down here. No new product. Now for me, I kind of like to just take the entire bottom off. I actually prefer a warmer kind of like nose situation anyway, because to me it just looks a little more natural. I do kind of go on the little other parts of the nostrils too. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but it's just something I've kind of been doing lately that I think I like. Now this is actually getting into like my favorite part of makeup, because I just love concealer. Like this to me is bringing back the pop in your face, and then you set it down and it's all matte and juicy, and just like it's too good, it's too good. But before we can start doing that, like I gotta get things a little prepped. I'm gonna do one powder puff for my pressed powder and another larger powder puff for my loose powder. First things first, we're going to be using that same concealer concoction that we use, but not mixed together. I'm going to go ahead and lay down the NARS Soft Matte, kind of literally as a base, going from here to here, maybe not filling it all completely in. And I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm also going to take that shade down the nose and a little bit on the chin. Then I'm going to go on top of that in the inner corners with the Natasha Denona in the NP10 shade right at the kind of corners, but making sure not to kind of go too high up so that I'm undoing that smokiness that we added with the cream. I'm also probably going to put a little bit of this Natasha Denona on my upper lip to give me that look. I love that look. That is for the liquid products, but when it comes to this, I like to prep my powders before I even get started. For powders today, I don't have a pressed powder that I absolutely love for this step from Sephora that I think is underrated. Now, You could get the Charlotte Tilbury one, but I feel like the shade range is like very poor. There's no reason that the 4 shade is like my overall complexion. I just can't recommend that like 1000%, but it does work. And if you fall into the shade range, it is a good product. One that I've been thinking that might also be good is the Rare Beauty. I would like to try that one soon, but I'm gonna break my rules. I'm gonna go in and use the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless, and I don't care. I know that this is like a themed video, but you're never gonna stop me from talking about an affordable product. Like, if you can save money and get a beautiful result, why not? This is super accessible. This is in the shade 330 Toffee Caramel. You can get this on Amazon, on Ulta.com, and in the stores. Like, I'm doing all of this before I even put on the concealer. So like what I like to do is take this puff, okay, and I just want to get it like nice and saturated. I'm gonna leave that as is, set that to the side, and now let's prep our other powders. Today I'm gonna be using Rich Peach and Ultra Pink from One Size. I think this concoction will give me like my perfect bright but still like approachable under eye. I feel like a mad scientist. Really just making sure that I'm getting all of this area, just because I don't want any darkness right there. You can play with how much you want to bring this up. I do it different kind of every time, but don't get carried away, because you can definitely just keep bringing it in and it'll get more dramatic. But the further you keep it away, like, the less snatched your nose will look. And now for the brightening concealer, we're gonna go in with the Natasha Denona. I'm keeping that a little lower than I normally would and really just focusing it kind of like in that inner pocket corner. Oof, I love the applicator of this. You can get a good amount. So if you don't want to do the cream step, but you really want to try this concealer, maybe try getting a shade that's a little closer to your skin tone and you can go crazy with this. So now we're going to switch to one of my favorite brushes, which is this one right here. This is the Mario F4 brush. Let me calm down. This is the Mario F4 brush. It is dual-ended as all the brushes in that collection, and to me it's just the perfect brush. You can do your blush with this side or your contour, and you can do your concealer or any kind of more detailed small work. I just feel like things are on me. Any kind of detailed small work with this side. Now, I know I have been talking real bad about this girl right here. This is actually the one in my second TikTok video about how these pumps don't be working. It wasn't working for me. But I think today I got it to work, and I do believe that if you use something that isn't quite as strong as like the One Size, but isn't as like hydrating as like a Caudalie type of beauty elixir for this type of look, and if you have combo skin like me, something like the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, ooh, I got that right, is going to be a good thing to do in this step, because with the cream, especially that cream concealer, it is a little drying and we have the liquid to kind of move that around, but something like this where it's going to hydrate but also work to lock it in is really good. So let's do a little test spray. Oh, and then I'm going to start blending the areas that personally no, I don't want that much coverage, which is like my chin and my forehead. Next, I'm going to go to this lip area. That's the area that I want the next amount of coverage, or next least amount of coverage. Pay close attention. I have a technique, and it is to just blend these edges, right? Now, you might not be able to see, but we did put down that skin tone concealer. So I'm just blending that right into the cheek. And remember, we put our bronzer here, and remember we kind of curved it up. I'm not saying drag it all the way down, but if your face is kind of like mine, just remember we had painted it in that way. So as we're just tapping on the edges, it is kind of naturally going into the end part of that and cleaning it up. I don't like to take it up too far. Remember, we did that like nice little snatch here. We want to keep that. We don't want to erase our work. I'm working really hard not to go up. I want this space right here. And for cream blush and all of our blushes today, we're going to be using the One Size Cheek Clapper. These I feel like are underrated, but specifically this color, Rich Betch, y'all are so sleep on her. I sell so many of these at work because people are like, oh my gosh, I never knew she existed. You get a cream, you get a powder, and you get a shimmery tone that can be as like a blush topper, a highlighter or just a sparkly eyeshadow. We're probably going to use it as all three today. So I'm going to take my brush and just dip it in here, do a couple of pounces, then I'm going to kind of press it into the back of my hand just so I can get it evenly distributed. I don't want to just dispense a bunch of product. Now I'm going to pick what side I want to do first. Let's do this side first. I'm going to start to just gently tap out that brighter part, right? With this F4. We just want to get the edges nice and secured. But also when I say edges, I'm talking inner corners too. I'm going in with that little Real Techniques brush, just gently plopping right over that line. Try not to bring it in because I do want to still have a somewhat black people nose. Just blending those edges. But it's still relatively wet, like right in here. Let me zoom you guys in so you can see. Still relatively wet right here, and that is exactly what I want. I've got myself right where I want it. Everything is blended except for that one little area. And now we can go in with our blush. So for blush, lately, you know, the girls will like to do it up here, but I think for my personal face shape, and I feel like for a lot of black girls' face shape, putting the blush kind of more in this area is so attractive for us. Let me show you what I mean. I'm squeezing it just because like this area is a little like tight on me. You could also use this side of the brush if you didn't like to do your concealer, let's say with like a brush. You could always use the smaller side, and I'm just gonna build it up until I get my desired level of blush. This is completely personal. I love blush, but you know, do what works for you. And once I get it concentrated in this area, then I will take what is left and kind of go and blend up the cheek. It's very different than what we were doing a few years ago, where we were starting it all in here, having it out here, and literally having no color like up from here to there. Very different. One eye at a time for your girl. And now let's go ahead and finish doing the blend. At this point in time, it's like a race to the finish. I have this powder prepped. I don't have my other one size powder prepped, but I think it's gonna be okay. We're gonna set this area down with our pressed powder, but just watch what I do, just get into it. I'm gonna zoom you guys out just a little bit so you can see how the whole area comes together. It's okay to move your face around too when you're doing your makeup. Like, our skin has so many different folds, and as we get older, it's just gonna get more intense. So move your face around, get in the habit of moving your face, adjusting your head. You do not have to be a robot. You need to see your angles. You're not someone doing your makeup and looking at your face. It's different when you're doing your own makeup. Now that I have that together, let's go ahead and bake a little bit. First, I'm gonna kind of like draw a little bit of a line. It's also cool to just kind of go in like light layers when you're doing this, because if there's like some wetness still, like it probably will pick up. I'm gonna take a brush like this and just go in and grab some of that powder. Just kind of lightly put it right around here because I do want to set that blush. I'm also going to take this opportunity now to blend out my nose and set down the rest of my inner corner of my eye. Okay, so right around here, I'm just going to start pressing it in and around here. I don't want any harsh lines. It's done its job. We thank you for your service. I'm going to take this opportunity to go in with my Maybelline Fit Me powder and just gently press it in around the areas we highlighted on our forehead and our nose. I'm also going to take that same pressed powder and go right back on top of my lip. I am actually just going to put like a lot because my lids are very greasy, and by the time I do this and then go in with some eyeshadow, it would have created kind of like a base. This is that brush that we had blended out the lip liner with, and I'm just kind of going back over it and making sure we don't lose that while we are putting that translucent powder into the lid. So to set my entire face, we're gonna go in with Sephora Micro Smooth Powder. Look, I can't say that it's underrated, but it is definitely worth all of the hype. For today, I'm gonna use shade 58 Almond. I like to pretty much load it a good amount up, and instead of dusting, I'm just going to start to press it and take down that shine. It's okay to like go over pretty much everything with this because this does not have that much coverage and it kind of gives like a luminous glow. We're gonna go back over everything with the powders that we want to make it pop. So now that we have everything set, let's go into bronzers. For bronzers today, I have two that we could say are very underrated. The first one is going to be the One Size Made for Shade Bronze and Sculpt Trio. I will use all three of these shades in one application. It just kind of depends, and I have to have an eye for it. I have to try to just match my body. The other one that I could say are very underrated is from the Sephora collection. These are the matte bronzers from Sephora collection. I have two shades. I have 04 and 03. 04 is going to be a little bit more of a cool tone, and this is the deepest one in the collection. I think they could probably come out with a deeper one. That would be such an amazing thing for them to do. This is shade 3, and this is the one that I kind of have gone in with as it's getting cooler. It's a little more on the bronzier side, still more mid-tone, but to me it's just not going to do too much. It's easier for me to control and to build it up. And I think the baked formula on these are really, really easy to work with. I think I'm gonna go in with the One Size one though for today. I like to bring my bronzer all the way in. I'm trying to shrink my forehead this way too. And then I'm gonna switch back to this brush and go in with the cooler shade and just go over this contour area. But not too much, because like you don't want to make it look like you have like a 5 o'clock shadow or something. Okay, this is the point now where we do blush. Let's get into it. Going back in with Rich Bitch. We're taking the middle matte shade and I'm going in with like an angled fluffy brush. It's not stiff at all. It's very more on the sparse side, not dense. And that's perfect for this because when I tell you these blushes are pigmented, and we're just gonna mimic exactly where we did the cream and build up that color. It's better to do this in a mirror that's far away because blush is such a like subtle effect. And because we set all over our face, like these products just go on so much better. So now I think let's go ahead and do our eyes. I don't know what I want to do for eyes, so let me pause y'all and then I'm gonna come back.